My forward brother, man, let him know who you are, bro. Yo, go.
This is Gary D in the house. Welcome to the Real Discussion Show. This is going to be an awesome show.
Give him some applause, man. Give him some applause. He needs that. Come on,
This is
man.
going to be a real good
Come
show.
on, yeah.
My
All
man
right.
Rock Logic. So it's about to get real. We on some Larry King stuff here.
Yeah, we working. And then my other.
Yeah.
Right. So.
All right, you go ahead with that.
Yeah, I'm gonna get that. Hold on, let me get that right now. Um, when I was talking to class, I just realized that these kids that we were teaching CPR to, and they weren't children. Let's be clear. These were adults. These were nurses. You know, the healthcare providers that didn't know what the world like was. You know, without HIV. And I'm like, dude,
That's deep.
we did a whole lot of humping. Like we got it in. because we didn't have to be concerned. You know,
So to
the
speak.
gangbang was there. Like, it just went off because we weren't really concerned about it. So I just found that to be sort of interesting. So, Gary,
Yeah.
tell me about you. First of all, where'd you grow up, Gary?
I grew up in Brooklyn, New York.
Good. So tell me about Brooklyn in 1975. Go.
Well, see, okay, I can't give you 75 exactly, but
Oh, wait. Now,
Hold on, hold on.
Now all of a sudden we need some clarity. How old is your ass, Gary?
Stop
I was
it.
I'm a
Let's not
70s
even go
baby.
there.
Okay, all right.
I
all
was
right.
born in 1970.
Okay, so 5 years old might have been a lot for you. All right, so give me 10. Give me like 77,
I'll
8,
tell
9.
you, there was I remember the 77 blackout,
Okay.
which was crazy. There was looting, because see, I was out in Brooklyn and Flatbush Avenue,
Uh-huh.
you know, this was the early days when cats, actually I think there was the DJ equipment stores back then.
Oh, yeah.
Yo, those got raided.
Yeah.
Cats was taking the huge speakers. It was crazy.
Yeah, we stole a whole bunch of shit in the Bronx. Let me tell you something. Crazy Eddie?
Oh shit, crazy.
Niggas went crazy for Crazy Eddie. Let me tell you, it's so crazy, right? You understand? Hold on, wait, I'm sorry. Basically hip-hop was started after the blackout. I know we talking about 73.
Stop it.
No, I'm serious, real.
know
73 hip-hop started. Nah, son. Every movement has a big bang, right? So the big bang was in 73, 74 with Herc and Bambaataa, right?
That's
That was a
right.
big bang, right? But then came the bigger bang, which was the 1977 blackout, when we could steal all the shit out of the music joints.
Exactly.
I mean, people that want DJs, the next
they
day
became DJs.
were
That
DJs after the blackout.
There you go.
People that didn't have furniture, the next day after the blackout, I went to my man's house. And I'm going to tell you something. My man was sitting on crates and shit, right, when I went to his house. The next day, they were fucking full-blown Siemens furniture in the living room, right? Because where I lived off of at that time, I lived off of the Brooklyn Boulevard, off of Lafayette. I lived at Lafayette Morrison Avenue. And the Shopwell Center there was, had just been built. And Siemens Furniture was right off of the Brooklyn Boulevard. So the person either didn't know where he was going, or he was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go through the shit, drove into Siemens Furniture, knocked down the facade, and people ran in and stole all the furniture.
Free for
And it was
all.
beautiful on Lafayette, yes. So that was a 77 blackout for me. Esther, what was a 77 blackout for you in
I was in
Queens?
the 77 blackout. Well,
Because you was in Queens.
yeah, but that wasn't.
You're not on the mic.
That
Go to the
wasn't the
mic.
big thing for us.
What do you
know,
mean?
We weren't looting and stuff like that. In East Elmhurst, we were good kids. We weren't looting and doing all of that stuff. We were. Nah, it was different. It was.
Yeah, we
different.
stole
were-
shit.
We would come together as a group, and we still do. It's funny.
We came together as a group too. We came together as a group of looters. We're gonna steal some shit. Come on, nigga, you get the microphone. I'm gonna get the turntable,
Oh,
and we're
my
gonna be a group.
gosh. All right, but that's not
Yeah.
what you know. What are the things that you remember other than the blackout?
Yeah.
Wow. What are the things that you remember from the 60s and 70s? Because you know what, I kind of bridged the gap of the 60s and 70s.
Right, for sure. You
As
transcended
well.
both.
So don't be funny, because
I'm not saying
I
anything.
know
I'm not-
you going somewhere.
No, I'm not saying you're old. I'm not saying
But
that.
you know, given the fact that you're in the music business, what do you remember in terms of songs?
Oh,
What do you
shit.
remember in terms of TV shows?
Marvin Gaye.
I mean, I was a Marvin Gaye, but you know what I remember, like specifically in the '70s, is that radio was not, for lack of a better word, it wasn't segregated yet. It wasn't chopped up. In other words, you didn't have a hip hop station. You didn't have a this station. You didn't have that station, right? You had Top 40, which was WABC,
Yes.
with Dan Ingram in the morning,
Oh
right?
my God, damn, yeah.
And you heard everything. You heard James Brown, and then you heard Johnny Cash. You know, whatever was hot at the time, you heard it. And then you had LIB, right? WLIB,
Yeah.
right? Which was the black music, and you had and then it was BLS that came later, right, with Frankie Crocker,
Frankie Crocker, yeah.
and Bugs and all that. And then they were playing black music. But I just remember that in the early part of the 70s, right, the radio was not segregated in terms of music. So we got exposed to all kinds of stuff. And we had to wait to hear our favorite song.
That's true.
So if you wanted to hear Funkadelic, you had to suffer through Johnny Cash. You know what I'm saying? They'd be like, rolling down the highway, my wrist rifle down to my side. I see a bunch of niggeros, and nobody looks me in my eye because I roll hard, right? So you're hearing Johnny Cash sing this shit, but then you hear James Brown, I'm black and I'm proud. You understand what I'm saying? Like, that was radio for me, and music in the 70s, really.
I mean,
Okay.
in the
Yeah.
70s too, there was, well, from the music, I do remember Marvin Gaye,
Yeah, of course.
a lot of the Motown sound,
100%. That's 60s, 70s.
the TV shows. I gotta say,
Go ahead, what?
The
What?
$6 Million Man.
Oh my God!
That's funny, because $6 Million Man wasn't until 1975. What do you remember in the 70s?
In the 70s?
Well, that was 70s. It was 75.
No,
75
what-
in the
do you
70s.
That
remember
was
MASH?
Steve Austin, man.
That was MASH was the number one show. In fact,
Yeah,
I
MASH was.
MASH was the number one
Right.
Well,
TV show.
well, there was actually, so since you're talking about the 60s and 70s, there were shows that was in the 60s that kind of started and wound up being syndicated going into the 70s.
Okay.
So, I Spy.
For sure. Yeah, that was
Dragnet.
Who was on I Spy?
Oh shit. Oh yeah.
Bill Cosby.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I know. Yeah, I know. That's when he was doping up broads during I Spy.
Oh man,
Listen,
That's
he was-
not
okay,
right.
okay.
Rock, man.
come on.
Listen, hold on.
Come on.
Everybody was doping up broads in the
Stop
70s. It wasn't like, it was like, that's what we do. We dope up broads. That's all I'm saying. Like, it wasn't crazy. It wasn't like, oh my God. But, you know, Bill Cosby was on I Spy. Yes. Go ahead, go. What else?
Oh shit. Okay, so $6 Million Man, I Spy, MASH.
Yeah.
Alice.
Mary Tyler Moore.
Yeah, Mary Tyler Moore.
Mary Tyler Moore
Mary
was
Tyler Moore.
1970s. 1971 was All in the Family.
All in the Family.
1972 was MASH, Sanford and Son, and Maude.
Maude was good. I like that. I like Maude.
73.
Where the hell is Good Times in this?
Well, hold on. 73 was Kojak and the $6 Million.
Oh, Kojak.
Okay.
Yeah. That was Channel 7.
74 was Happy Days.
Hey, wait, you going year by year.
Yeah.
But see, okay.
But that's I'm giving you all of them. And
All
then
right, you got to take that. You got to take that. Go ahead.
74 was Happy Days and Good Times.
Yeah, I remember that.
75 was Starsky and Hutch and the Jeffersons, and that's when Saturday Night Live started.
Oh, wait. You missing Good Times. Now, I need some clarity here, ESP.
What now?
All right, I need some clarity here. What year did Good Times come on TV?
Good Times.
And if
came
you
on
know,
in-
somebody just text that shit. When did Good Times come on TV?
Do you want me to answer?
Yeah,
You
what
want
year
me to
was it?
text 1980.
Good Times?
Good
No,
Times was 1980?
Whoa.
No,
All right,
1978.
fix this shit.
It was
What?
1978.
Hell no.
It was 1978.
Good Times had to be like 75.
Has to be earlier than that.
It had to be.
Rocky,
It had to be like
it was
74.
1978.
No, you know why?
Because Good Times was a branch off.
Oh,
Remember, all of those shows were built.
right. It was. That's right. That
You
was
had
the whole,
All in the Family.
Right.
The Jeffersons.
Then you
That's
had
right.
All in the Family, and then I think it was Maude, because Maude was his next door neighbor.
That's
or
right.
something like
Maud's right. Maud came off of All in the Family. The Jeffersons came off of
that.
All in the Family.
No, the
No, the
Jeffersons
Jeffersons
came off of
a-
Maude, because Maude.
The
No.
Jeffersons came off of
Good
Maude?
Times came off of Maud.
Wheezy was Maud's maid.
No, Florida was Maud's.
Florida was Maud's maid.
That's right. And Florida husband, who was James, was not James on Maud. He was Henry on Maud.
Okay.
All right, that's what it was, right? And then Rhoda and all that other stuff happened, and that was the whole churning thing during that time period, right? But what I do remember about the 70s is I remember the gangs in the 70s, right? Because the gangs were a big deal in the 70s. And in the Bronx, we had like the Black Spades, Savage Nomads, Savage Skulls, right? And it would, and the gang thing was prevalent according to whatever block you lived on. Now, that's my Bronx perspective. of the gangs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I remember being 10 years old and 7 years old. The Black Spades are coming, and they're gonna fight the Savage Nomads, and they would fight in Lafayette, in our park.
That's
You know,
so funny.
when they would come and they would come to rock out, and we were so scared of the Black Spades, and the Black Spades eventually became the Zulu Nation, but we were really, that was prevalent, and the gang thing was so prevalent. Here was the problem with the gang thing, because it was territory based, right? So here was the deal: if the corner store was in the neighborhood of the rival gang, and your mother sent you to the store for a pack of cigarettes and a 6-pack of beer, which you could do in the 70s. I just want to be clear. In the 70s, at 10 years old, you can go to the store and buy a 6-pack of beer and cigarettes for your mom, right? I'm just being clear. So we would do that, and we would go. I remember I went, and I had to go, right? This is a personal fucking experience, right? And I got my ass kicked on my way to the store to get the fucking cigarettes, right? Then I get the cigarettes and I get the 6-pack of Ballantine Ale. My mother loved Ballantine Ale, so it was a Ballantine Ale. I got a 6-pack. And then coming back, the gang kicked my ass. Now, my concern was not my ass getting
Well,
kicked.
you got your ass kicked a lot.
Oh, yeah, listen, that's the Bronx. That's how it went down. That's how you got your chops up. Big shout out to Robert Burton. He was important in my life because he was the bully on the block. He passed away this year, but you know what? He made me rock logic strong. I just
Rest
wanted you to
in
know
peace,
that.
Robert.
So what happened was, I got my butt kicked on the way back home, but my concern was not dropping the beer and not mashing up the cigarettes because I didn't want my mother to know.
That was your mother.
I ain't giving a fuck
Which
about
could
the
be
ass
worse.
beat. I wanted to make sure my mother's shit was correct because I knew
that was the ass whipping.
my ass was kicked. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I didn't give a fuck about how badly I got beat. So what was gang life like in Brooklyn? I mean, in Queens. I'm sorry. In
Well,
Queens,
you can't
Queens,
ask.
Brooklyn.
See, you can't ask me about gang life like that because the gang life that I experienced because we went to church in the Bronx.
Okay.
You know, when West Indian families came into, a lot of us settled in Queens, but we went to church in the Bronx, and we were up at White Plains Road, actually 1802 Clinton Avenue, and we passed through a lot of gang warfare while we were in church, because when you went to church from morning to night. You were there the whole day. You ate there, you played there, you couldn't go to the corner store. But the gangs were really respectful to us while we were in church. That's
sure.
what I remember. I mean, and sometimes they would actually even line up at the gate and wait for us to finish singing and stuff like that, and they would kind of cheer on, and some of the kids knew the songs. It was really weird. So I didn't have a negative experience with gangs in the Bronx. In Queens, again, I grew up as a child of very religious parents. And
Okay.
I was in East Elmhurst. East Elmhurst was a different type of neighborhood. It was like an island to itself. We didn't have that gang warfare
Who
like
came
that.
from East Elmhurst? Famous.
Oh
Who's
my
famous?
God. Are
Tell
you
me.
kidding me?
Yeah, I want to know. Because now I want to know
Okay.
who came from
Well,
East
you wanna-
Elmhurst
you wanna stop
that y'all
talking?
didn't have no fucking gangs.
With DJ Wiz, Kid and Play. I didn't say we didn't have gangs. I said we were respectful, and the gangs in East Elmhurst, it was a
Okay,
different
okay.
type of vibe.
Okay. So what was the vibe?
I
in
didn't
East
say
Elmhurst?
that they weren't there.
Okay.
I wasn't a part of them.
Okay.
Okay, so who grew up in East Elmhurst?
Let me know.
DJ Wiz, which is Mark Eastman, Kid and Play,
Okay.
um,
The two hype guys.
West Oblivion. Wow, why did I just draw a blank on all
See?
of Rakim?
Rakim was in East Elmhurst?
Yeah.
The God? The God, Rakim?
Are you
shit.
kidding me?
I always thought he's from Wine Dance. I'm just saying.
Um,
I didn't know. Who else you got?
There are so many of them. Why can't I? And it's funny you put me on the spot like this.
Yeah, I do that. Don't be fucking them down.
The Disco Twins.
Oh,
They're
you know
still
what?
from Queens.
Big shout out to the Disco Twins.
shout
I don't
out.
know
One
if they're
is
from
one of
the
my
East
girls.
Elmhurst,
Well,
but
one of them is from Astoria. One of them is actually married to one of my girls, Deirdre, who on 99th Street and Astoria Boulevard. She has a Marion's Beauty Shop. Big up to them. They're
Darius.
married.
Give me some applause for the Disco Twins, bro.
There you
Come
go.
on, they're classic.
Classic,
Play
classic.
that. I need that right now. Because if you don't understand what that is, they were.
Go watch Wild Style, right?
Yeah,
Wasn't they?
I mean, they had the super sound system
Yeah.
in Queens. Like, they were the dudes in Queens at the
That's
time.
right. That's
Gary.
right. Ron Lawrence.
Right.
One of the Amen
yeah.
Ra.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, come on.
right.
East Elmhurst was full.
The Bronx was richer. I'm just saying.
said
We had more
Bronx.
celebrities. I'm just saying. We had more people in the Bronx that were famous.
Yeah, okay.
That's all
Listen,
I'm saying.
You're
the
not
list gets
you're not
long.
gonna put me in problems with my people from East Elmhurst right
No,
now.
I'm saying. I'm glad you shout them out. Gary, tell me about the gang experience in Brooklyn.
The gang experience in Brooklyn. Well, I mean, in the 70s, I was a kid, so I didn't really experience the gang stuff till, I don't know, 80s. That was, there was a gang called the Ball Busters
Oh yeah, I remember.
out in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a part of them with the beads. You know, they had the beads and all of that.
You was down with the ball
I was,
busters.
yeah, I was a bull. I was,
See, I was a Zulu. I'm
I was
gonna beat your ass right now.
Don't
All right?
start.
No, listen, we're gonna fight right now on the podcast. I'm gonna tell you why. Hold on. I'm gonna tell you a motherfucking ball buster story. All right?
No.
What?
Let him finish.
All right, go ahead, finish. All right, finish. You're right. Go ahead.
We'll be here with your stories all day.
Finish, and then we'll go. Go ahead, go.
So, my, I guess, introduction, my introduction to the gang life was dealing with the Ball Busters. I knew about Zulu. I knew about the Latin Kings. I think the Latin Kings was going on, and there was another one called the Nietas, I think. That was all back then. But the beef that there was another crew in Brooklyn called MTV.
Okay.
Wait, was MTV out yet before they were called MTV?
That's where they took it from.
Okay,
This was
there
when
you go.
MTV just
asking.
started.
Okay.
I think their beads was blue, white, and silver, or something like that. Now, I know, Rock, you remember back in the days with the beads, the Zulu beads was all black.
So I had mine.
So, yeah.
Of course you do.
So now, I didn't really get into any real fights back then. I mean, my fights were in school.
Thank you, Esther. Go ahead.
Okay, what the hell?
Esther's replaying this shit already.
Damn. Okay.
All right, commercial break for a second. All right, you can download it if you didn't catch it live. You can download it on
Spotify.
Spotify. What else?
We got Spotify,
Facebook
Google,
Live,
Google
Google
Play, YouTube,
Africa Hannibal.
Google Podcast,
Africa Hannibal.
Apple Podcasts.
What did I miss? What else can we download this thing on? Go ahead, just yell. I'll repeat. Go ahead. What podcast? What?
iHeartMedia.
iHeartMedia. What else?
Media.
Deezer. Go ahead. Okay.
Y'all see the flyers that we posted up, so go look
I
on the
just had to
page.
ask Africa Hannibal. You want a sandwich? What is it? The shit is banging. It's a turkey sandwich. It's crazy.
Focus.
You're gonna love this.
All right.
I'm just saying, this is the best shit from Chris Sal's and what's the other kid's name? Part of that makes the heroes.
I'm not touching the
Living
phone
this story. All right.
to bring it
All
up.
right.
So,
Okay.
all right, now
I just wanted to check Africa Hannibal. By the way, if you don't know who Africa Hannibal is, she's the one that has this whole thing put together, and she brought us here to do like podcasts, and it's Break Bread Studio. It's breakbread.studios is the website, and Darius, you're the engineer, right? All right, Darius is the engineer. He's the one that set everything up to make sure we was cool, and that's how we roll. And we doing this every week. Now, Gary,
And back to
the
Gary.
gang.
again, the gangs. Tell me about it, Ball Buster.
Yeah, because we got to come back to Manhattan. I want to share a
So
story.
but me being a ball buster, I wasn't really into the fighting, but I've heard and
How
I've
can you
had
be in a
friends.
gang and not be in the fighting? Isn't that what it?
I had to be home at a certain time, you know.
Oh.
What were you, a peaceful ball buster?
Yeah, like
That makes you not a ball buster at all. You're like, I was a peaceful ball buster.
Oh boy. Okay.
you know when the street lights came on.
Yeah.
See,
I
come
remember
on.
that. I remember that.
In the black, when you're in the black neighborhood, when
Yeah.
the street lights came on, your ass had to be home, or else
You
your
damn
mom.
right.
Yo,
Yeah.
your mama's man
Exactly.
busting your behind. Here.
Exactly
What is
so.
it?
Well, I mean, that was the good shit, right? Or the bad shit. I don't know how to explain it, but let me explain it anyway. Okay.
Wait a minute.
So-
Before you explain that, because
What?
we were on gangs, And you had asked me a question about Queens. I wasn't familiar with the Queens gangs, but the Manhattan gangs.
Okay.
Now I used to go to school up at 135th Street and Convent Avenue. That's Music and Art High School. That's the old Music and Art High School.
Right.
And my experience with gangs was life changing because we were a very tight unit. We still are. Actually, 90% of Music and Art is still on Facebook and together. But we lost a very important young man. We lost a young man by the name of Stephen Crossland back in 82 to gang warfare, because they used to come up and they would harass us.
Right.
And we had gang fights going on outside of the school all the time because people thought that we were better, which we actually were, than
That's
the
that
rest of the
bullshit.
high school.
You know.
No, it was Music in our high school.
Yeah,
We
okay.
play.
I was
Anyway,
in Columbus.
but when we came down the hill and we went into the train station, there was a whole bunch of craziness that went on after a performance one night that we had after a talent show, and they really beat a couple of our boys severely, and Stephen lingered in the hospital for many days and passed away. So
Do you remember the name of the gang?
I don't remember the name of the gang, but if somebody's listening to me that is a music and art, call in and refresh my memory. I'm talking about Stephen Crossland and his memory, and just respect to his family, and just rest in peace, continued rest in peace. But I feel if we're talking about gangs, I should shout that out because that was a life-changing experience for
No
me
doubt.
and a lot of us, and that banded us together. So my experience, not being a gang member,
Yeah.
so to speak, but that brought us together. I guess I am a gang member. I'm a Music and Art gang. Big up to Music and Art. Hand claps. Yeah.
Give me some class of Music and Art
class of
gang.
Music
Come on,
and
hit
Art
it,
High
Darius.
School. The original.
The original, right?
Right.
So, all right, so let's figure something out here. All right, because y'all bullshitting. What were the games that you played in the street? I'm going to tell you what I played. I played tag, Ringalavio, and we did that other thing that was called horse, which we all jumped on each other's backs, which was ridiculous.
Don't forget Skelly, bro.
Skelly's. Skelly's was a big
Everybody
Skelly was
game.
the
Skelly,
joint.
Skelly's was a big game. I remember that. Yeah.
Double
yeah.
Dutch. That
Double
was-
Dutch.
yes, sir.
Right. Remember Double Dutch?
Double Dutch. Of course I
Oh my
remember
God!
Double Dutch.
I just remember when we played this game horse, right? It was like you jumped and everyone's kind of lined up, hold on to the fence, and then you jump until everyone collapsed, right? So, and then leapfrog,
Was that-
and Simon
was that
says,
leapfrog?
no, it wasn't leapfrog because you kept everyone. Once you jumped, then everyone just kind of hung on, and the next person jumped, more people jumped. You need a whole lot of people to play this shit till people collapsed, which was a ridiculous game. It was like there was a game we used to play in the Bronx, right? When I went into the South Bronx, called Brick Wars, right? It was called Brick Wars. So what would happen with Brick Wars is that in the rubble, because you got to remember, in the 70s,
In the 70s, the Bronx was brick.
it did. And the Bronx
Everything
all,
was crumbling.
Yeah, everything was
That's-
crumbling. It was on the
wow.
ground, and we called it the mountains. We're going to go play on the mountains,
mountains.
right? Well, the mountains was a burnt down, knocked down building, right? So what would happen was we would go to the mountain, and 5 of us would go to the top of the mountain, and the other 5 would have to make their way up the mountain. But the trick was we threw bricks at each other, right? So we grab a brick and be like, Brick Wars! Bang! Right? And we're hitting each other in the fucking head with the bricks and shit,
God.
not knowing we could have killed each other.
Oh, shit.
You don't know how
How
many
do you
baby...
not know you can kill somebody?
Because we didn't think that far. We didn't think... I don't know if we didn't think that the brick was that hard.
Oh my God, that's so.
I don't
retarded.
know, but I know I knocked out a couple of my friends' teeth, automatic, off the cuff. There were teeth left on Monterey Avenue. I'm just saying. Not to mention, I don't want to mention his name.
So don't mention his
All
name.
right, poor
You're gonna
Fred.
mention his name.
Poor,
See?
poor Fred.
Poor
We hit
Fred.
him in the head with a fucking brick, right? And he got a
Rocky.
speed knot, and he was knocked out, and we weren't sure what to do, so we just started throwing water in his ass, and then Fred woke up. But this is what we did in the 70s.
And this is a game that you made up.
Yeah, Brick Wars.
See, again, let's go back to East Elmhurst. Because in East Elmhurst, we made up games that made sense. We made up a game called Chinese School. Chinese School.
the fuck was Chinese school?
Yeah, Chinese School has just begun. No more laughing, no more fun. If you holler something or the other, one of them is out there that can go. Daryl Wilson, call in.
It
Big
sounds-
B, call in.
Darryl Wilson,
But
it
Chinese
sounds
School,
racist.
you had to.
It sounds racist, Daryl.
You had to do.
Chinese
There was one
food.
teacher, and the teacher had to make you laugh, and you could not make a sound. But the things that these kids did, it was like the original Comedy Central. The things that they did in order to get you to laugh and bust. It was fun. We didn't throw bricks.
Well, listen, maybe Brick Wars.
Brick Wars.
At least Brick Wars was fucking straight off the cuff. You mimicking Chinese people to laugh. You're like, what
No, I
what were
didn't.
y'all
See,
doing?
why did you have to go there? We're
Because
not
it's called
mimicking
Chinese school.
And I have Asian heritage. So
I know you
what,
do.
I'm allowed to do that.
I know you. I'm just saying, Chinese school just doesn't sound.
It
Chinese.
sounds better than Brick Wars.
Oh, listen, I think Fred is a better person today because we hit him in the head with a fucking brick. I'm just saying. That's what
All
it
right.
was.
All right.
Fred's not dead, but he's bleeding. So, where were you at? Because now I got to ask this question. Gary. Oh, wait. I don't know if I can ask this question to Gary. Hey, Darius, give me some applause. Just hit the shit. All right. Gary,
What's up?
where were you
Should have had a drum roll.
when Jaws came out? Which is one of the top 10 movies in the 70s.
That's right.
And did you see it in the movies, or did you have to wait till you came down the birth
I
canal?
saw it in.
That
I
was
saw it in the movie-
1975.
I saw it in the movie theater. I saw it. I tell you,
Okay.
it was Kenmore Movie Theater on Church Avenue.
Kenmore.
Kenmore.
Okay, in Brooklyn.
Yeah, Kenmore Movie Theater on Church Avenue in Brooklyn. Yeah. and-
What was your first movie
Oh shit!
That you saw. What was it?
ever
First movie.
in the theater?
I know my shit, but you tell me yours.
Saturday Night Fever.
Really?
Saturday
Really?
Night Fever.
That's-
Saturday Night Fever.
So you didn't see Jaws? Because
No,
Saturday Night Fever is after Jaws.
Saturday Night Fever was 1975.
No.
No, Jaws was 1975.
Saturday Night Fever was 77.
77.
That's when my man threw on the white suit and did the boogie.
Right. I saw it. Well, I saw.
So Jaws, you must have saw that shit on cable or
Gary
some
was
shit.
doing bootleg.
Right? You were doing bootleg in the 70s, nigga? What were you doing? You're like, I saw Jaws. But it was fucking
You remember
bootleg.
this Jack Cable?
It was bootleg. I know my first movie 100. Right?
Oh my
Gary
God!
was
What was your
bootlegging
first
Jaws.
movie?
Shaft. The first movie I saw, 1971, with my Aunt Rebecca, who used to smoke like a chimney. She was a chain smoker because you could do that in the movie theaters.
Why are you blowing people up?
Now, I'm letting me know. Listen.
Damn.
First of all, in
Yeah,
the
you could
1970s, you could smoke in the movie theater.
That ain't all you
You
did in
could
the movie
smoke.
theater.
You could smoke on airplanes,
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
So we went to the movie theater in the Bronx. It was up on the concourse off of Tremont. It's not there anymore. And we saw Shaft. Now, later on in life, I've come to realize,
I
right?
think it's a Lucille Roberts now.
It might be.
Yeah,
It
I used to teach
yeah.
there.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
dope, right? So, Shaft, right? It was John Shaft, the private dick, right? That was the whole thing. But if you really think about it, John,
Buckle
which
down.
means dick, right? John Shaft,
go.
which means dick, right? John
Here we
Shaft,
go.
the private dick,
Dick.
right? The private dick. So it's dick, right? Listen, that has got to be the all-time funny shit of all time. Like, the title is John Shaft, the Private Dick. Now, the film itself was very liberating, and sometimes I try to dress
was
up.
what?
Very liberating.
Thank you.
Because
you know,
I put
liberate.
I put on the black shit, I put on my leather, and I walk like I want to be Shaft every now and again. But that was my first movie. What was your first movie?
Adios Amigos and Taking a Pelham 1, 2, 3 in a double feature.
Ooh.
When your moms used to let you leave the house on Saturday morning after your bowl of cereal, after you did what you were supposed to do,
Oh.
and you had your bowl of cereal, your massive bowl of cereal,
Oh.
and you hung out with your friends. There used to be a theater. It's still there, but it's not a wholesome theater anymore. On
Yeah, it's
Astoria
probably-
Boulevard and 88th Street.
Oh, you talking about the porno shit?
Called. I need to focus. Stop.
It's a porno joint now.
Called, what's it called?
They be running there
The
beating
Fair.
off.
It used to be called the
Fair. It's still the Fair.
It's called the Fair. And I saw Adios with Pete C. Rory. Rest in peace.
Wow.
We used to go see the movies. You paid 25 cents.
Who was in Pelham 1 through 3? Because I know, like,
Don't ask me that
no,
shit.
listen, I'll fix it if you need me to. Because the new millenniums, they know Pelham 1, 2, 3, which was the recent one.
Yeah.
But I
Okay.
remember the one major star that was in Pelham 1, 2, 3 was Walter Matthau.
He
was in
was
it.
a biggie, but he was not the.
He was a dude. He was a guy. He wasn't a criminal.
Yeah.
He was like
That's
the
what I
cop.
was looking for.
He
Who was the criminal?
I don't remember the criminal, but I remember Walter Matthau was the character that Denzel Washington played.
I was just going to bring that up.
In the new one.
Yeah.
That's who Walter Matthau was, and it was a 6 train,
Yep.
which was dope.
Yep.
Yeah, that was dope. I remember that, which was crazy. But all right, so here's what I remember in the Bronx, right? This is what we used to do.
No bricks.
Nah,
No
okay.
hurting anybody.
I'm just saying. Listen,
Can any of your memories have
Alright.
something where nobody gets killed or hurt or maimed or jacked up?
this is how we lived in the Bronx. What are you talking about?
So give us a nice memory now.
All right,
we
all right,
know
all right. Nice
that.
memories. Okay, all right, nice memories.
Give us a
I
nice
remember
memory.
my mom used to drive us out to Soundview underneath the White Stone Bridge, and we would eat French fries, and it was a whole dirt thing, and there was a place there called Shore Haven. Shore Haven was like where it was a resort in the Bronx, and only white people really went there, really. And we hung out outside the fence, basically underneath the bridge, and we hung out, and that was a great memory in the Bronx. Playing tag was a great memory in the Bronx. We used to throw dirt bombs at each other. That was a great time. in the Bronx.
bombs.
Yeah. Remember dirt bombs? Yeah. Because every spring the gardeners would chop up the dirt, and it would be hard, and we would throw dirt bombs at each other, and that was wonderful.
I got in some major fights because of dirt bombs, bro. Jeez. Okay.
He's like, I almost got stabbed over dirt bombs.
Here we go.
We did that. So
Okay.
Esther, okay. So here's what I'm getting from this conversation. Okay. You're very domesticated or suburban.
What?
You're suburban.
I look like a house animal?
No, you're
Animal.
you're very suburban, right? You're very suburban.
Well, that's
right?
what East Elmhurst was. East Elmhurst was upper middle class black families. They were doctors, lawyers, engineers. That's where I grew up.
So, what toys did you play with in East Elmhurst?
That was way too easy.
Yeah.
I'm
gonna give you a layup.
come back to clean.
No, yeah, go clean. Don't go dirty. Like, what toys? She's like, dildo.
Oh, shit.
No, see why?
She's like,
No.
She's like, good vibration.
Okay, go back to the question.
All right, let's go again.
Focus.
Be clear.
Yes.
What were the childhood toys that you used to play with?
We had Spirograph,
Oh, Spiral.
shit.
I remember
Baby Alive.
that. Wow. Yeah. Is she drawing a
Easy
blank?
Bake Oven. No,
Yeah,
you know
Easy
what it
Bake
was?
Oven, yeah.
It wasn't that I drew a blank. I just remembered a particular child.
Okay.
There were 2 families that lived on our block. 'Cause I grew up on a block with like 30, 40 kids. We were forever outside. We woke up in the morning, summertime. We were outside from 7 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock at night. We came in to go. In fact, we didn't even have to come into our houses to go to the bathroom. We could go to each other's houses to go to the bathroom. Sometimes you ended up at dinner at someone else's houses, and that was a regular thing because you were in a village, you know?
Right.
One of the grandfathers used to have carnivals out in the yard, and it was just really an awesome thing where they would buy toys and stuff. It was like a fair. We didn't even have to leave. And then we had a park right across the street. It was a real park, and our backyards were set up as a circle where it was like a track. So the houses were on the perimeter, and then there was one huge yard in the middle that had separation of fences, and we ran around this whole track. So
Okay.
we never had to leave. But what was the question? The toys, we made up games. The toys that we used to play.
Well, you bought
again,
toys. What'd you
why
want for
I came
Christmas?
back to this. The 2 families on our block, there was the Turners and there was the Wilsons, and they always had the coolest toys ever. And we were all spoiled, but they had the coolest toys. So we had Monopoly. We had Stretch Armstrong. We had G.I.
shit.
Joe. We
I
had
had a
Barbie
Stretch
dolls. We
Armstrong.
had Big Wheels.
I had
we
Big
had
Wheel.
the banana seat bikes.
Oh, yeah.
We
I punched the
had
kid in the face for touching my big wheel.
light bright. I bet you did.
See? That's
Light
the
bright.
ball buster in you. That was your big moment. I'm gonna ball bust you for touching my fucking Stretch Armstrong.
We had Etch a Sketch, we had Speak and Spell. We had all of the toys that were out.
Okay. All right.
And then when we got bored of those,
hmm
we kind of just made them up as we went along.
What was big for us, I remember where we lived, because I lived on Lafayette Avenue, Morrison, was the Aurora AFX slot car racing
The
track.
racetrack.
The race-
Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah, that was a big thing.
dude, the
I mean-
Tyco joint.
Yeah, the Tyco.
Dude, I had one every Christmas, bro.
Yeah,
Every time it got bigger.
My parents just knew, just give him a train set. He'll shut the fuck up. Give him a train set. He don't give a fuck. Right?
But you know what it is, Rock? You asked that question, and we were talking about this the other day. The kids today, we're talking about being outside. We're talking about being gangs. The kids today, their gang is in the phone. I mean, come on. They don't go anywhere. They don't go outside. They don't do anything.
Everything is in the phone.
Even with the phone, remember when we were taking pictures? You used to have like Instamatic cameras and all of that, or the
Right.
Polaroids.
Polaroid, yeah.
And we were talking yesterday about the Instamatic camera used to have a little square on the top, and if you needed to take a flash, you put the flash on.
That's
and it would
right.
go, and everybody went blind for 35 seconds.
Right, yeah.
These kids today will never
They
know
don't know. No.
what that is.
No, you're right.
What do they have? What will they have to look back on in 20 years? And sitting down and having a talk show,
Uh-huh.
what will they be able to look back on as a memory to laugh at? The iPhone 5?
Well,
Because they're on the iPhone 92? What? Tell me something.
I mean, in this stage of the game, what you're dealing with is anti-socialism, right? Because kids, they don't go outside and they don't engage. Like I'm gonna ask a question. I'm just gonna go around the table real quick, right? Gary, who was your bully?
oh, my bully. Oh shit.
Who was the guy that bullied you?
I didn't have a bully, really.
Where the fuck did you live? Come on.
I lived in
New York. Everyone had a bully.
No, I
That's not
fought the
true.
bully.
All right,
I
hold on.
fought the bully.
Oh, so
I
what was the bully's name that you fought? That's what I'm asking. I just want to know the name of the bully.
Dexter.
All right, good. Dexter. All right.
Charles.
All right. Yeah, Charles is the bully. He's bullying me right now. Hey, Darius.
Yelling at you.
Darius.
Do we have anybody on hold
Hey, Darius is over there.
waiting to call in?
Here's my question,
'Cause we
Darius.
don't have a
Darius.
bully.
Who's your bully? You never had a bully. How old are you? What? 22. All right. Hannibal, you ever had a bully? Yeah. See, let me tell you
My
something.
girl.
With a name like Africa Hannibal, right? You are the fucking bully. Okay. You're the original country, and then you're the original rebel. She's Africa Hannibal. You're right. She's the bully. Who was your bully?
I knew you were going to ask me that. I was a negotiator.
The negotiator.
So you had people who tried to bully me, but
All right,
I knew how to talk them out
all
of
right.
it.
Who tried to bully you? Do you remember the person that tried to bully you? Like, was it Stacy? Was it Veronica? Who tried to bully you? That's all I'm saying.
Tell you what, even if I did remember a name, I would not give them credit here. So they're not going to get that out of me if I could even. I see her face, but I don't remember her name.
Right.
But I do remember that my aunt got wind. I must have said I don't want to go to school today because I have a stomach ache or something. But my aunt was really cool. She was really ESP. She hip to the crap. You couldn't sell her no story. She's like, what's going on? I said, well, I'm not feeling well. She said, no, you didn't feel well yesterday. The day before something was wrong. What happened? And her West Indian self in the dead of winter, I used to take a bus. She walked out the house in her slippers and her fur coat.
That's West Indian parents for you.
Walked down the block,
That's right.
10 feet behind me. I knew she was there too. Actually, yeah, I did know she was there. I'm walking to the school. I'm slowing down. And she's watching me. And I must have pulled up to this person. And she swooped around. My aunt swooped around and said, let me tell you something. You see my child there? Nobody bother she again. Because if me have to come out here again in the middle of winter, I go
That's
be
West
you,
Indian parents for you,
me,
bro.
and your mother.
Exactly.
Right here upon this corner here.
Facts, people,
So,
facts.
and that was it. I never.
That was into your bullying.
I was not bullied. I grew up with 6 sisters and brothers.
Wow.
They were my bullies.
I got
That
you.
was it.
So here's the deal.
Come on.
So my bully was Robert Burton. Once again, God bless. Right. And here's the deal. What happened with that, and what I'm driving at with the bully situation is that you had to deal with your bully on a physical level.
True.
You know what I'm saying? You had to see him every day.
Sure.
You had to deal with him every day, and you had to figure out how to either befriend him, beat him, or something, right?
That's the negotiating.
Or be cool, right? You had to do that. And now with the kids now with this cyberbullying thing, let me tell you something. There was a news thing on the other day about the Crips and the Bloods, and now they're all cyberbullying each other, right? Like they use Snapchat.
What is that?
Okay,
Twitter gang?
Yes,
What?
yes. There's a Snapchat. This shit is crazy.
You made that up.
No, I did not. I swear. Here's what they do. I wouldn't say anything that isn't true. Here's what they do. All right. So you know how to drive by, right? Remember the drive by?
Yeah.
Yo, break yourself, fool! Right? Remember that shit? Okay. Now, it's the Snapchat buy. They go to the gang's area and they Snapchat in their area and then they leave.
Okay, so
And
gangs
that is
have
a-
websites now?
Yes. Well, Snapchat is whatever. You can Snapchat on your phone. So they're Snapchatting. They're doing Snapchat buys.
What is that?
Exactly what I said. Snapchat. It goes up for, 30 seconds or a minute or something, whatever, or it stays up. And they show that they've been in the alternate gangs
Neighborhood. Or
neighborhood.
area.
Yeah. Like they'll take, like if it's like, the cross street between Thomas Street and 187.
Yeah.
Right? They're like, yeah, the Crips, we at Thomas Street 187 right here, yeah! Ah! And then they just post the shit. And then that's kind of what it's become. So I think the big issue that we're having, the difference between the 70s and now, and here's the issue, is that we're becoming extremely antisocial. We're becoming extremely we're into our own thing. And I find myself doing it, to tell you the truth, right? Like when I'm on the train, I put my headphones on and I zone out and I don't want to hear anything from anybody and I'm in my own world. Well, imagine that for a kid that's 20 years old or 15 years old. This is the life that they're in.
Right. Well,
And that's what they do, right?
But I don't understand that. You said that you're tuning yourself out, and I talk to my kids about this too because it really ticks me off. You're tuning yourself out. You put your headphones on. You have these things that plug in your ears as opposed to go on your ears. So you're not in communication with anything that's going on around you. You're doing all of that disconnection to get on a phone and go back into the world where everybody else is. That doesn't make any sense to me.
No. Here's the point you're missing. That's not real.
We're on Facebook Live.
All right.
How the hell is that not real? We watch news happen in real time.
That's correct.
Right now. People get shot. We don't have to wait for things to come to us. There's a judgment made in a courtroom. We don't have to wait for the newspaper to be printed for us to get what the verdict was. We turn on television
Shit,
and look
Twitter.
at phones. Right now it's happening. Right now. How the hell are you telling me it's not real? And we're disconnected.
All right, good. So now that you gave the hand claps, good. It was good. I thought it was a dope speech, right? I was with you. I was so with you. I was so with you. So here's what I'm saying, is that when you text somebody, that's not real. That's not real interaction, because I can say to you,
I hate texting, just by the way.
exactly, right?
Texting got me in trouble last
It's
week.
so
Because
impersonal.
Right. And it's left to the interpretation of the person. If I say to you, right, I say, fuck you, right? Let's say I just said that, right? Now,
You just did.
all right, good. And I said that, right?
I don't know how to take
Exactly. In a text, you don't know how. But in person, if I go, Gary, fuck you, right? That's like a happy fuck you. Fuck you, nigga. Right now, you know I'm angry. Fuck that, right? It's a whole thing, right?
But if you keep it in context of the conversation,
it still doesn't work because texting doesn't show emotion.
See,
and that's my problem with texting.
Jump in, Gary.
I totally agree with Rock because the issue, like, texting is good for short talk, if you will. But if you want to have a real conversation, pick up the phone.
Totally understand.
Because in texting, and I always say, and a lot of my friends will tell you this, is that I always say texting is so impersonal. It leaves too much room for misinterpretation and misunderstanding.
But that's for us.
No, I
okay,
think,
listen. My kids text me from down the hall, and the whole house is 100 feet long.
Is that retarded?
That's how they communicate.
I understand that's how they
retarded.
Communicate, but
walk down the hall and go, "Hey, mom." Right? I'm just saying,
there's no logic to that.
And if it's something important, then that needs to be said verbally.
But that's me walking down the hall.
Well,
and something important is put the damn phone down.
There you go.
And walk down the hall and talk to me.
You a dinosaur like the rest of us.
Listen, I'll admit to that because there's a nuance, which is what you're trying to say. There's a nuance in communication with real words, but they don't do it. This is not the age that we're living in.
I get that.
So we got to get to the program and set some ground rules, or just, you know what? We're the only people that have a problem with that texting thing. The people who were born in the 70s and below are the ones that have the problem.
Of course, we're the dinosaurs.
Because we're the dinosaurs. Exactly. Okay.
Well, there's some adults that I know who all they do is text. Like I'm in a couple of Facebook groups, and it's interesting because you see some of these posts that go up, are you a talker and a texter? And a lot of people wind up saying that they're texters.
Yeah.
Then you have a lot of other people that's saying that they do both. And it's like, I feel that if you have something important to say, like, you have to pick up the phone and call. Like, there's some friends that I have that I get upset with them. It's like, look, if you got a problem, fucking call me. Don't text me about it.
I concur.
I got you.
Because
why am
I need
I
to
arguing
know
over in the text?
I need to know how you feel. You understand? If it's bothering you that much,
tone of your voice. Tone of your voice.
My point exactly. That's all. So that's the issue that I have.
I find that people in general don't know how to talk to each other anymore.
That's
whether
true too.
It's a child or an adult.
That's true
I agree
too.
with that.
And
I agree.
the adults that you're talking about who say that they're more comfortable with texting probably were introverted from the beginning anyway. So this is a new tool. I mean, look, let's switch gears for a little bit. Let's go into the dating world.
Oh my God!
There is a whole fleet of
disconnected
people
niggas. We get monsters online.
Who are no longer even getting up to go out and have a drink, but they're meeting each other online, and by the time they actually meet, they feel like they, in their minds, have known each other and communicated with each other and have connected with this person in such a way that when they finally meet them, they find out this is not really the person that I'm connecting with, or you have the extreme other situation where you have people who act like they've known you for 3, 4, 5 years just because of these accumulation of texts that they've had.
Right, exactly. Which is not real.
Which is weird.
Right.
Which is not real. It's not real. The texts aren't real, right? Because here's the deal.
Again, you got to clarify that.
I'm going to clarify. All right, because you're saying that it's not real because when they meet them,
I'm saying it's
like
not sane. The texts are real.
But no, they're not real because you don't know the real person, right? I could text you anything, and I could be cool with the words, and then you meet me like, oh, this nigga's a gorilla. You know what I'm saying? You understand something? The first person I ever went out with, let's deal with
lies.
The text is lies.
Okay.
It's not real.
We're using real, and we're using real in one context, and then we're using real in another context. And I'm just trying to find out how you're applying. They're lying. They're creating a persona, and then they're trying to become a part of it.
Exactly.
Okay, I got that. That makes sense to me.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a lie, babe.
The first girl that I ever dated, it was classic. It was classic, and it was classic dating.
This man has a story for everything.
No, you're damn right. You know what I did? I'm gonna tell you what I did to poor Rhonda. right?
Oh my God, why are you blowing people
Right.
up?
I pulled her fucking hair like every boy does. Right? I pulled her hair, right? I didn't know that I liked her. I didn't know I liked her, but I kept pulling her hair and I kept fucking with her because that was the only way that I knew how to communicate. Right? And then we dated. And then we
How
dated.
old were you? 10?
Yeah, I was about 10.
Yeah, because that's what you do when you're 10.
I mean, 10 years old. And
25 years old, you pull my hair, I'ma
and then
slap the
Rhonda did
crap
the
out of
most
you.
magical thing that you could ever do to a 10-year-old boy.
She punched you.
No, she stuck her tongue in my mouth. It was incredible. She hit me with a tongue kiss that you wouldn't believe. Whoa! Let me tell you something. We rode the elevator 19 stories about a half dozen times. It was incredible. We hit the goddamn. We got stuck. I was like, "This, put the tongue back in my mouth again, Rhonda." That was so good. It was so good.
God, you've been a hoe a long time.
I'm just letting you know. But I pulled her hair first. So I just want to touch on one thing, right, in New York, because we're about 5 minutes down before we're done. Times Square, 1970s. What were we looking at?
Oh man,
Kitty cat shops and all of the porn things.
that was.
It sure as hell wasn't
Oh,
Disney.
wait. Well, yeah, it was all the porn stuff, but also too the kung fu, like the kung fu
Yeah.
movies.
Right.
That was the spot. I don't
Right.
care where you were from, Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx. 42nd Street was where you went to go see the latest kung fu movies.
Right.
Five Deadly Venoms, Man with the Gold. That was the place.
Okay. All right, cool.
There were
And-
a lot of nice comic shops weaved into there too.
That's
so-
true. That's true too.
And
Yeah.
you know me, it was a prostitution. It's good times. It was the porno joints, the prostitute. That's what I remember about Times Square. And I remember that wall that we all took pictures in front of.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody had in New York had a picture in front of that wall. But what we're gonna do now, right, is because we got to blast off. We got like 5 minutes left, about 4 minutes left, and we're coming back next week, and I believe we're gonna go 2 hours next week.
2 hours.
Right? So we're gonna go from 3 to 5 next week, and we have a special guest next week that's gonna join us. We have guests up until October, which has been great. I've been on the phone with a lot of people. We've gotten great responses. I want to thank everybody that's liked us on the Facebook page.
Facebook, yes.
Right? We're up to
Oh,
like
man.
500 people.
Yeah.
And we did that in
Tuesday.
4 days.
Tuesday.
Tuesday you put it up, right?
Yeah, Tuesday.
By Friday, we had 500 likes
Yeah.
and 500 invites accepted. So I hope you guys got to tune in. And if not, you can catch us in a couple of days. Once again, the replay is on Apple Music,
Spotify,
Spotify,
Google Play,
Google Play,
iHeartMedia,
iHeartMedia,
Apple Podcasts,
Apple Podcasts.
Google Podcasts.
Okay.
So yeah,
And what else? That's it?
I think that's
Facebook Live.
Is it Facebook
Did we say
Live?
Facebook
Yes.
Live?
YouTube. What's the YouTube page?
and YouTube. That's right, YouTube.
Right, YouTube page. And that's what it is. Darius, we want to thank you for being a great engineer. He's a youngster. He don't know who I am yet, but that's cool. We get to that later.
And don't forget, you guys can call in and talk to us and add to
Hey
the
Darius, you know what the
conversation
number
as
is?
well.
You know what the number is? Yeah, because I know we had Darius like, no, I don't know.
I
the
want to
number,
pull up a
dude."
picture on my phone, but it keeps...
No, because we have a number. The number's a new
Screaming.
number. So if you tried to call in this week, we apologize because I know a lot of you, were
Oh,
calling.
that's what it was.
Yeah.
Because my phone is going off. People like, we can't get through.
Yeah, the number's
Okay.
different. Africa
I'm
was
sorry.
that.
Keisha Bailey, I'm sorry. Thank you for all your support, though.
We'll put it up during the week.
That's right.
What the new number is, and then next week's show, which is either going to be about, I'm not really sure. We're going to put it together because we have production meetings, during
Listen.
the week.
But you
and
can
we're
go to the
inspired.
website and you can tell us what you'd like the show to be about as well. So you can type to us at our site.
Which is, yeah, right. You know what? Go to the site, all right? I see you've liked it, and engage and say, you know what? I want to talk about this topic. I want to talk about that topic. Whatever it is, whatever's on your brain, put it up, and I guarantee we will talk about it
And we want to talk to you.
100%.
So call
all
in.
right?
We might even have you come in and sit down and be on the next mic.
All right. Peace, love, and hair grease. We done. ESP, co-host.
Yeah.
Gary D, co-host. Applause,
We
please.
love you guys.
See y'all next week.
See you next week.